hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, you need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions.
And it is time for Home Repairs and Solutions with Mark and Mary, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Amani dealer. And now here is your host, Mary Pearson, and of course we're still missing Mark Withers. Hopefully they'll be back before long.
We are missing Mark. You know, I haven't talked to him for a little while. I was going to try and maybe give him a call this morning, but I had a meeting and didn't get a chance to, so I'm going to...
We hope he's doing well.
I hope so, and if you're listening, Mark, we wish you all the best, buddy, and we miss you and hope you could come back here pretty soon.
Exactly.
Thanks for being with us on the show, everyone. I think we'll start out today. We've got a lot to cover. We've got a great guest on the show today, and so for all of you listeners who want to call in and ask a question to either myself or the guest we have today, let me give out our phone numbers to get us started, and that number is 862-9977 or 1-800-375-0056. So it's a free call from anywhere that you're listening to us today. And I want to go ahead and introduce our guest. Today I have with us on the show, I have Robert Mitchell. Robert is with Kwik Dry Systems Restoration. And there are lots of things Robert can do for people. Robert is a disaster specialist. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm excited to be here as well, Mary.
Well, thank you for coming and being with me today. I think that our listeners are going to get some great information. I think you do a lot of things that maybe people aren't always aware of, because when you think of, at first, initially when I thought of your company as Kwik Dry, I thought of you just maybe doing just water cleanup and that type of thing, but you do so much more than just that. So one of the things, though, that I know that you do is water cleanup, and we were talking a little bit before the show, and water cleanup involves more than just flooding by Mother Nature.
Exactly.
So what are some of the tips that you were telling me that there's some tips and some things that happen in people's homes and tips you can give them to maybe prevent them from having a flooding in their home?
Well, that's a good question, because most water problems or most water damage comes from what we call plumbing. So it's either the dishwasher or the refrigerator line. If there's water, it can break, and it can break fast, and it can cause a lot of damage. And since it's spring, a great tip for this time of year is if you haven't used your outside faucet yet, make sure that did not break during the winter. We did have a mild winter, but it doesn't take much to freeze that outside pipe, and then when you run that faucet all day long, lo and behold, you go in the basement and it's full of water. So make sure that outside faucet is not broken due to the winter.
See, a couple of things have happened for my son, for instance. I know one time his outside faucet broke like that inside the wall, and it did. It came in and flooded the basement, ruined a bunch of the flooring and all that type of thing. Then just this year, while he was at work, probably shortly after he left, the refrigerator line to the ice maker broke. How that happened with no one home, who knows, but things just happen around the house sometimes. So the water ran all day long upstairs where his kitchen was. So the water warped all of his wood floors. It ruined the ceiling to the downstairs. It ruined the car. It did a lot of damage, By the time he got home and figured out what was going on, of course, that water just kept pumping all day long.
Yes.
And so these are some areas where when you come home and you find that you've had a situation like that, what typically do you do if someone calls you? Maybe a lot of times people think they should call a plumber for that, but plumbers don't clean up water messes. They can come in and fix the pipe or the whatever broke, but so if someone has a situation where maybe they've had something like my son did and that breaks, and they give you a call, typically what happens once they instigate that initial call to you?
Well, that's great. The most important thing about that is most of these situations are insured with the client's home insurance. So that's the good news. The bad news is the water can cause a lot of damage. Like you said, the warping of the floors or the drywall, it can ruin the carpet, furniture. Probably the first thing I would do if something like that happened to me, I'd make sure that my most treasured, priceless possession was safe, because that could get destroyed. Then once that happened, then I would call us at Kwik Dry, and from there we can help them walk through the whole process. So what we're going to do first of all is get rid of the water, stop the source of the water, and then start the cleanup water so we stop the damage, and then we can help that homeowner or the business owner call their insurance company, call the claims, start reporting it, and start that process. Usually that takes 3 or 4 days, but we can help them with the cleanup so that we've stopped the damage in the meantime.
So even though, so you can go ahead and start that process without an insurance adjuster coming and looking first?
That's right. Matter of fact, in most people, or in everybody's insurance agreement, the insurance companies will tell you, stop the bleeding, secure the property. If you were a jewelry store and somebody broke your window, get that thing covered up so that people aren't coming in and out of the store, and then start the insurance process. So, and what we do, because we're a local company, we do not charge the homeowner or the business owner anything up front. We know that the insurance is going to take care of it. We know what's covered. If it's not covered, we'll let them know. Mary, we'll tell you, this is probably not covered on your insurance. So why don't we, what do you want us to do if it's not? We can be upfront with them and help them stop the disaster, and then they can work with their insurance company, and some things are not covered.
Really? So what kind of things wouldn't be covered?
Well,
Do you know?
everybody's looking at the storms right now, so a lot of times rainwater won't be covered.
Really?
Yeah, if a sump pump breaks in your basement and your basement floods, that could be covered. But if it's just a lot of rainwater, usually that is not a covered item. Some sewage situations are not covered. So I would recommend that people really sit down with their agent and ask them one question: what happens if sewage comes in? Do I have a special policy? Sometimes it's just a few dollars a year to have a policy that if some sort of sewage happens, you're okay. If some sort of rainwater happens, you're okay. Let your insurance company know if you have a sump pump and see if you need a special rider. But if it's a refrigerator line like with your son, or an outside faucet or a dishwasher, those things would be covered under their insurance.
And then typically, what do? You come in and then do you bring in, I mean, what do you pull all that water out with? Like, for instance, my son had like an inch or so of water on the floor. That's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water. We have a lot of extractors. We have a lot of pumps, depending on how much water. And so we can take care of the cleanup right away. And then we have a lot of equipment that we call blowers or fans, air movers. And we have big dehumidifiers, commercial dehumidifiers. The important thing about when it's water is we need to remove the water from the air so it doesn't start secondary damage. So if the water's in the basement, it can evaporate into the upper rooms, and it can, the water could actually migrate to the hardwood floors upstairs. So it's important to get the water, the drying process started immediately, and that's what we do. And so we have whatever equipment we need to make that happen.
So, and another reason, I guess another reason, if you were trying to, it would be important to get the water out, because I would imagine if that water sits very long, or you keep that moisture in the air, then you probably have a pretty good likelihood that you're going to create a mold situation. And
everybody's afraid of mold. I will give us a little good news about mold. Mold is everywhere. And if you're not allergic to it, you know, it's not the end of the world. It's not the scary stuff that you see on some of these shows that mold is the most scary thing in the world. But that being said, we don't want it. And we don't want it in our home.
Correct.
And so if you had let's say a small leak, and it just got your carpet wet in a closet, for instance, it's real important to pull that carpet back. You might not need us. We'd be glad to help you walk through it at no charge. But we need to get that carpet up. We need to get a couple of air fans on there and let that water evaporate and dry. It's kind of like getting a wet towel out of a washing machine and throwing it in a corner or in a closet. 2 or 3 days from now, what's that wet towel going to smell like, Mary?
It's not going to be very pleasant.
Not very good, exactly. And that's what we want to avoid. So we don't want a lot of water in a lot of carpet causing a lot of mildewy odors.
Can you usually clean, I mean, when you come in and do this process, what is the drying time typically? Like if you had a soaked carpet or something, can you pretty much dry that up in a day, or does it take a few days, or how does that work?
That's a great question. Our goal is 3 days. And so
Oh,
our
really?
industry teaches us that if we can get it dry within 3 days, chances are we are okay. Now, it depends on what kind of water it is. So if it's gray water or black water, meaning dirty water or sewage water, then that's another matter. Many times we not only have to dry it, but we have to remove the materials and replace them. So if it's fresh water right out of a hot water heater, and it happens today, and and you can call us, we answer our phone 24/7, we get to you right away, we get that water dried out. If we can dry that out in 3 days, we're okay. If we can't dry it out in 3 days, chances are we're going to have to replace some of the materials in the home.
I see. Well, speaking of giving you a call, why don't you give out your phone number?
Okay.
We'll do that, and you also have a website.
Yes. Our website is Kwik Dry Systems, and that's spelled wrong, so it's Kwik, Kwik Dry Systems, plural, .com. And our phone number, the best phone number to call us on is our cell phone, which is 725-6978. That's 417-725-6978. And we have several numbers just out of convenience. We have a phone number in Branson. We have a phone number in Springfield. Matter of fact, several numbers just to make it easy on people. But people are texting these days, and people are using cell phones, so the best number is 417-725-6978. All our phone numbers, a little trick for you small business owners, all our phone numbers are routed to my cell phone. So if you call the cell phone, you get me. If you call the other numbers, you get me.
You still get,
Yeah.
they still get you, don't they,
Yes.
Robert? Well, that's not a bad thing. No, there's not a lot of companies that, you know, whenever you call in, that you get the owner every time you call. So that's something that I think people would like to know, is they can talk to you and not have to wait for a call back or wait until, you know, you get done from a job to get back to the office to check the messages or whatever. So, and in a situation like that, it's upsetting.
It really is.
You know, if you come
Very
home
traumatic.
and it can be a very emotional thing, and sometimes you just need someone to come out and give you some assistance and make you feel better about the whole mess, because it is a mess, and it's not something that anybody wants to have to deal with. It's not something that's pleasant.
And Mary, it's not only water, but it's fire or smoke, and sometimes there's injuries. It's a very traumatic situation. That's why I said earlier, to me, the most important thing is to get those pictures picked up, make sure they're not somewhere in the basement, get a picture off the wall, something that's real valuable. I had a customer one time that had a whole baseball card collection that he had for years, and those things are irreplaceable.
Absolutely,
So,
sure. And, you know, sometimes when you come into a situation, you don't always think about that. Your first thing is, you know, panic, I want this cleaned up, who do I call? But that's a good tip, is probably, the damage is already there. Take 5 or 10 minutes.
Yes.
Pick up your valuables that might be, like you said, in the basement, in a box somewhere or something.
And while you're on
secure
that,
it.
another thought here is a safety tip. Think about water and electricity. So if there's probably more than an inch of water in your basement, I would be very careful about going down there without turning off the breaker first. And
That's a good idea.
So there's a little bit of safety issues there. So, but think about that. But you have your safety first, and then you have your valuables. And I suppose somewhere right in the top 3 there is make sure there's no new water coming in. And so stop the bleeding, stop the damage, get the water cut off. So there's really an array of things to think about. Matter of fact, I don't know if you'd like to talk a little bit about prevention. Sometimes that's a good way to go.
We talk a lot about prevention on this show. So anything that you could put out there for our listeners that could be preventative, so that maybe this will not happen to them, I think could be extremely helpful.
Well, if we're staying on water instead of fire right now, but if we're on water, the first thing to think about is, where's your water cut off? I have a friend in the business that's a plumber, and he actually invented a part that will cut off the water supply with an electric switch. And that is a really good idea. You need to know where your water cutoff is and make it simple. I can't tell you how many times somebody's called, the water's coming in, it's a broken pipe, they cannot find the water shut off. They don't know where it is in the home, and they don't even know where it is outside. That's very difficult, very stressful, and as you can imagine, water coming in, minutes count.
Oh, absolutely. You bet. Absolutely it would.
So that's a first preventative tip, is think about where your water cutoff is and what causes the damage. Probably another thing, if you have a really good plumber that you trust, it wouldn't hurt to have somebody come in and do what they call a flood prevention. There's a lot of different products these days that will really help, like the metal fittings on toilets, for instance. They're called flood proof. So you, instead of having a bunch of plastic fittings everywhere, we could update it to the new proper materials that are out there. And so a plumber could do that for you and double check your hot water heater, double check your dishwasher, your refrigerator line. Those are little cheap pieces of plastic that we take for granted, and they're going to break.
Yes, they do. And, you know, it seems like they always break at the most inopportune time. It's when you're not there.
Yes.
And so then it can go on for several hours.
It can go on for days.
Or days,
If
sure.
you're going on vacation, and it's in the wintertime, you don't want to turn off your heater.
Correct.
If it's in the summertime, in Missouri, with 90% humidity, you don't want to turn off your air conditioner.
Correct.
You want some air in there, and you know all about that, don't you, Mary?
I do know all about that.
Is that your specialty?
That is our specialty, and you know, we do have people ask us that question all the time. Well, I'm going to leave town. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks or a month or whatever. Should I turn my air conditioner off? And it's July.
Yes.
The answer to that is no. You
Yes.
want to leave it on. You want to keep that humidity pulled out of your home, and you don't have to have it as cool as you would if you're living there, but you do want to keep it on. You want to keep it set at a temperature that will at least pull the humidity and stuff out, because otherwise all that moisture collects inside your home. Your house is shut up. Your house, it will like sweat inside.
Yes.
And so then you come back and everything feels damp or wet, and we have had people that will come back and their cabinets are starting to warp. Their floors are warping because of all the moisture and the heat and stuff in the home. So that is another good tip, is if you're going to be gone.
And then have somebody double check your home.
Absolutely.
Maybe every day come
Sure.
in. It wouldn't be a bad idea to shut off the water, though.
That's correct, because you're not going to be using the water while you're there. So then if you did have a situation where something came loose or broke, the only water you would get would be what would be in the pipe at that time.
And we have problems sometimes with condensation and mold building up in the air conditioning line. What do you all
Yes, we do.
solve that problem with?
Well, what we do with those, if you have, you can have water, especially in the drain pan, and that water sits there. If you've got a little bit of water in there, it sits there, and just like you said, over time, if water sits, then you're going to have a smell, you're going to have a mold issue, you're going to have all kinds of things that are going to go on with that. And we have pan pad treatments that we can put in there, and this will help kill the bacteria and stuff in the water so that you don't develop the mold and the smells and that type of thing. And those have worked very, very well. We have a lot of clients that do use those. And especially if you aren't going to be in your home for a little while and you're going to leave your air conditioner on, then that will help with some of that. You know, just having your home closed up in the summer and not being in and out of it and using it can even just cause it to have kind of a maybe a moldy smell or musty smell, and that will help alleviate some of that.
And I remind
as well.
people, we are in Missouri, and when you
We
have mold wants to grow when it's above 50% humidity,
Yes.
and when it's around 70 degrees or higher.
Yeah.
So I always tell people to look at a pond in January.
Oh, yeah.
No mold.
Right.
Same exact pond, August, we've got mold.
Yes.
So what we see that happens a lot, Mary, is that in July, when the condensation starts being evaporated with your air conditioning system, then it will overflow because those lines get clogged with mold.
That's correct.
And
They
so
will.
Is there a little quick fix for that you know of? Or?
That's the drain line, and oftentimes that's why we suggest that people do maintenance on those, because that does happen. And there's what that does is like you said, stuff grows inside that line, and eventually it will clog. So that's one of the things during the preventive maintenance that we recommend that people do in the spring or early summer, is we clean that line out.
I recommend that as well.
To make sure that there's nothing in there, so that when you're running your air conditioner, that water can freely leave.
And then you could probably change the filters at that time, which helps.
We
so
do.
There's I will say this, preventative maintenance, I see a lot of air conditioning systems that are taken apart. They're full of dog hair. They're full of
Oh,
dirt,
yeah.
And It just helps to prevent the maintenance. I know there's a fee for that, but it sure beats paying a big deductible on your insurance.
Yes.
And it beats the premiums that go up. So our business is a lot like the fire department. We try to help people prevent water damage. We really do not. We'd rather spend all of our time doing prevention than cleanup because, like you said earlier, it's such a stressful time.
It is, and it's something that nobody enjoys going through. That's for sure. I was looking here on your website. Your website again is Kwik Dry Systems, and that's Kwik Kwik drysystems.com. You have some great information on here. You have some tips on here. You have some videos on here. Some wonderful videos that talks about the drying process and extraction and all kinds of things that you do. Shows how you go about doing things for people that have a disaster strike their home. So I would encourage all the listeners to go on the website, look through it, familiarize yourself with all of the different things that Robert's company can do to help you in case you do have a situation that is a disaster type situation in your home. And that way you will understand the process. Sometimes just not understanding the process can be unnerving.
And there's some tips, prevention tips as well.
There are prevention tips on here. There's some other things on here that you talk about as far as the carpet. We're talking about water damage and that type of thing, but you also show that you can do pet stain removal as well.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't necessarily have to be a carpet that got wet. That can just be any carpet you have in your home, and if you have pet stains and that type of thing, which oftentimes, if you have a pet at some point, you're going to have pet stains, either when they're puppies or when they get old. They're like people, you know. They have to learn how to go outside when they're young, and then when they get old, they kind of lose control of some of that sometimes. And so you can also do that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a disaster situation where you could come in and help with things like that I know people have to deal with all the time.
We started our company with carpet cleaning. And the unusual thing was we kept getting calls about water damage. And so we just had a philosophy that we wanted to take care of our clients.
Right.
So they had a problem, and we just helped them through the problem. My background was construction. So pretty soon we evolved from carpet cleaning to water damage and then to fire restoration. But we still stay with carpet cleaning. We still help our customers with the carpet cleaning and with the pet treatments and different things like that. And we can help them. We work a lot with the carpet shop, so that if they need a new pad or some new carpet, we can help them with that.
Well, all of this is great information. And I don't know, Dan, we're at the bottom of the hour. Do we need to take a break? Or okay, we're going to take a quick break here, and thanks for being with us. Come back, and we'll have some more good information for you on the second half of the show.
Here's news on the Ozarks News Network. Springfield police have arrested a man wanted for killing his cousin near Walnut Grove. 39-year-old Shannon Schaefer was picked up at a home in the 1800 block of South Kings. He's accused of running down Tommy Bryant following an argument that began at Stockton Lake. Schaefer was arrested without incident. He's charged with second-degree murder. The FBI is looking into a case of missing money paid for a trip to Hawaii by the Willard High School band. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were paid to performing Hawaii tours. Now no one can reach the travel agent. The trip is scheduled for June. And Carthage police have identified the body of a man found in a homeless campsite near the Spring River. He's 43-year-old Mario Gonzalez. The victim's girlfriend discovered his body after he'd been missing for a couple of hours. Police are considering the death a homicide. For the Ozarks News Network, I'm Arlen Summers. Buy 5 pounds, get 2 pounds free at Big Pop's Fresh Louisiana Seafood Crawfish Boil this Saturday from 1 to 7 in the Smiley's parking lot at Bennett and Glenstone. Shrimp and oysters, too, direct from the bayou to you.
If you're not prepared, get PreparedExpo.com. The biggest and best preparedness expo in the USA. Coming April 28th and 29th. Get PreparedExpo.com. Over 125 seminars and exhibits. Climate change, urban foxholes, wholesale batteries, common sense economics, MacGyver 101, beekeeping 101, shortwave and ham radios, survival gardening, buy your first farm, over $200,000 in exhibitor giveaways, and teleseminars with James Wesley Rawls, Bob Chapman, and Julia Shopping. $8 one one-day and $15 weekend passes available now at GetPreparedExpo.com. Saturday and Sunday, April 28th and 29th, Ozark Empire Fairgrounds, Springfield, Missouri. GetPreparedExpo.com. Download program flyers and $8 discount coupons at GetPreparedExpo.com. Don't miss GetPreparedExpo.com. Saturday and Sunday, April 28th and 29th. The biggest and best preparedness expo in the USA. If you're not prepared, GetPreparedExpo.com.
The Ark of the Ozarks Foundation exists to provide support for those with developmental disabilities. There are a variety of supports for those with autism, Down syndrome, and other disabilities, and Dr. Arthur Mallory will be with us to explain the programs and the Foundation's role in their financial future. That's why this Thursday you should tune in at 10 a.m. on the W Factor KWTO 560 a.m.
There's a pretty darn good pizza parlor in town. They make everything from scratch, with homemade crust, fresh meats and vegetables, and 100% real mozzarella. Where are you going to find it? Right inside a gas station. Casey's General Store, a convenience store, and a whole lot more. Right now, you can get free cheese breadsticks with the purchase of any large pizza.
Hi, I'm Brad Ferris. Did you know a recent Gallup poll that 58% of Americans are worried about their ability to maintain their current standard of living into and throughout their retirement years? Find out how your current mortgage may be costing you your retirement. Yes, a mortgage guide telling you to get out of debt. Find out more on the Ferris Mortgage Hour, Tuesdays at 2 o'clock, right after Rush Limbaugh.
Sunny and not as warm for today, but watch out for some strong thunderstorms. Those thunderstorms can bring torrential downpours, large hail, and damaging wind gusts, high of 72. Watch out for a strong thunderstorm again tonight, otherwise partly cloudy, low of 60. Times of clouds and sun, we will see another strong thunderstorm in the afternoon as we start the weekend tomorrow, high of 77. Cloudy for your Sunday, high of 75. I'm AccuWeather's Jason Lord.
64 degrees in Springfield.
Well, I went down to the hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter, and he shook his head and said, you need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions.
And you're listening to Home Repairs and Solutions, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Amana dealer. And now once again, here's Mary Pisson and her guest for today.
Welcome back, everyone. It's great to have you with us today. You are listening to Home Repairs and Solutions. And our guest for today is Robert Mitchell with Kwik Dry Systems. We've been talking about a lot of different situations that can happen to your home with water and flooding and that type of thing. But something else that Robert takes care of is smoke damage. And I was looking at your website, and you have some really interesting information about smoke on here that I was not aware of. Like, for instance, there are different types of smoke.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that, or I didn't think of there being different types of smoke. And just, for instance, one of them that you have here is wet smoke.
Yeah.
Okay, now what is wet smoke?
Well, wet smoke is, you can imagine if there is a fire, that there's going to be a lot of water involved. So there's going to be a lot of smoldering wood and smoldering drywall, and it's going to be wet. And that is where a lot of damage comes from. A lot of fires you don't hear about. They're just a small kitchen fire. Maybe the microwave starts to burn, and that's called a synthetic fire because that's plastic, and that's terrible, and that plastic smoke will go throughout the whole house.
And it stinks.
It stinks,
horribly.
and we have, you and I were talking in the break, we use a lot of contractors when we work with these water damage or fire restorations. We become the general contractor. We don't hire a bunch of employees to come in and take care of like your furnace for and they only do a furnace once in a while. We hire a company like yourself to come in there and take care of the furnace. We also have a company that does all of the cleaning. So they inventory all the clothing. What'll happen with an insured person is they'll have a cap on their contents. And the average home has about $25,000 worth of clothes in it, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yes. Well, think about this. A ball cap costs about 25 bucks.
That's true. That's true.
I have a company that can clean it for $4. And so what they do is they ozone it, they get rid of that smoke, they identify the smoke, they know how to clean it, they clean it with the right solution. So you're going to get a check from your insurance company for the contents, and you're either going to have to replace them all or clean them all or a little bit of both. So we help with the whole process. So depending, I guess it's not Thanksgiving right now, but Thanksgiving we have a lot of what they call protein fires, and that would be a turkey.
Yes, I'm sure that's correct.
That's no good either. So
No.
a lot of smoke goes throughout the house. It gets into the air conditioning system and the filtering
does.
system. And so there's just a lot to smoke. It gets on the walls. Those need to be cleaned. Sometimes the walls need to be replaced. So there's a lot of cleaning involved, and there's a lot of replacement involved, and we take care of all of it.
And so when you like, how do you tell the homeowner this can be cleaned or this needs to be replaced? I guess that's with furniture or curtains or anything in the home. So you can tell if it can be cleaned properly or not.
Once in a while, it's a question on whether it can. Sometimes it's best to try to clean it, and then sometimes there's no charge for the cleaning, and then if it can't come clean, then the insurance will replace it.
I see.
So sometimes it's cheaper to go ahead and try to clean it, and then maybe if 90% of it gets cleaned, then the 10% that gets replaced. So we try to do a cost analysis, and we try to be as efficient as possible. We know that we're a good steward of whether it's the insurance company's money or the homeowner's money or the business. We want to take advantage of every expertise to get that home back to normal, or get that business back to normal like it was before the disaster happened.
So if someone were to call you, they have a disaster, whether it's water, fire, whatever it may be, and they call you in, then you take care of... See, I think this is really important because as a homeowner, you personally, I would not want to have to deal with trying to get 8 or 10 professionals to take care of whatever the mess is, because that can be so overwhelming. First of all, you're out of your home because you have a situation that maybe you can't be there. You've got damage, you've got this and that and the other, different things going on. So to have someone like you that can come in, look at their situation, assess the situation, know what needs to be done, know how insurance companies work, and help them through that process, and then you actually hire professionals in whatever field needs to be taken care of in their home. That takes a lot of burden and anxiety, I would think, off of a homeowner, because they're just dealing with you.
It really does.
And then you are actually taking care of them with professionals that you know in specific areas that could take care of their problems.
That's right. And there's not a lot of time to sit around and try to get a bunch of different bids and ask different contractors to give me bids. So what I do is I develop a relationship with contractors, and I call them on the phone and say, I have a disaster. They have a relationship with me. I trust them to come in and take care of it. When they give me the invoice, I know it's going to be something that's in the right ballpark. So I've already developed a relationship with all of our contractors so that I can trust them to come in and immediately take care of my client and their situation. And I even have a relationship with the Residence Inn where I can make a phone call, and they have a little apartments over there where they have a kitchen and full service hotel. So all of a sudden, if you're out of a home, I just make a phone call and you're in the Residence Inn.
You've got a place to stay.
Yes, they have 2- and 3-bedroom apartments. They have dishwashers and stoves in there. It is it's a nice facility. All the furniture, it's all furnished, and there's either 1 to 2 bedrooms, and there's like 3 to 4 TVs in there. So a small family or a large family could actually go right in there and be right at home while they're out of their home.
See, and that's a part of this process that I hadn't even thought of. Just sitting here visiting with you is, where are you going to go? You're going to have somewhere to go. And if you don't have family or friends here that you can move in with, and even then sometimes that's kind of awkward if you have, maybe you have kids and you have different work shifts, and someone's sleeping during the day and you're up and down. That can be kind of disruptive and a difficult thing to do. So if you could get into an apartment or something that you could put your family in and still be a family unit and go ahead and go through your regular duties and stuff you have to do, I think that would be a great help to someone. I've never had the situation where I've had to be displaced from my home due to damage. We've been real fortunate with that, and I just think that there are so many things you would have to deal with almost immediately.
Well, people remember the ice storm, and
Yes.
that's really what is a focus. The ice storm affected a whole lot of people in Springfield
Yes,
and the
it
next
did.
area. The damage that we're talking about today, that affects one person, but that person is affected just as much as when the ice storm hit.
Sure.
Because their whole world is turned upside down. To them, it is an ice storm.
Sure. And I think what we'll do, because oftentimes I get so busy visiting with my guests, I forget to let you give out your information. So I want to do that again before time runs out on us here. But if you could give out to our listeners your phone numbers again, your website address. Do you have a Facebook as well?
We do have a Facebook. I'm glad you brought
Okay.
that up. My son actually built our website, so I'm really proud of him, and that's why we're proud of our website. So
It's a great website.
I cannot take any credit for that. I am in my 50s, and I do appreciate technology, but I'm not exactly sure what HTML is and what Perl is and what all these languages are.
I don't either.
He has created a Facebook page for me, and it's facebook.com/Kwik Dry Systems.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of information on there. We do a lot of posting and a lot of videos, and also our website is kwikdrysystems.com. And you can go to our Facebook page and like it. He's always doing some sort of special on carpet cleaning. He has a website development company, and so he's always putting little videos there or coupons for winning free carpet, all kinds of things like that. Matter of fact, I think if we had a caller, we could give him a free carpet cleaning if you wanted to do something like that. If you have a little trick up your sleeve.
Okay, there we go.
I'll take a page out of my son's, social marketing there.
There you
and
go.
Maybe, I don't know how we could do that, but I'll let you figure that out. And then, of course, our phone number, the best phone number is the cell phone. You can get me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you call me right now, it will go to my voicemail, and I'll call you right back. But my phone number is 417-725-6978, and we do text, email, all that kind of stuff.
Well, you gave me an idea. Graduation's coming up.
Yes, it is.
And a lot of people have graduation parties and different things going on. So if you're listening out there and you need to have your carpet cleaned before an event coming up, Robert just said that, let's say the first person that calls in, you will get free carpet cleaning from Robert today. So you don't want to wait too long. We've got a little bit of time left on the air this morning. And
also, if they go to Facebook.com/Kwik Dry Systems, maybe if they'll like it, what we'll do is we'll do a couple of random drawings out of the different people that have liked our Facebook, let's just say from this moment till tomorrow.
There you go. There you go. So there's an opportunity for some of our listeners out there to get your carpets cleaned before you have an event coming up. I don't have carpet anymore. I used to, and
a lot of people don't. Hardwood floors.
A lot of people are doing that. Well, first of all, we live at the lake. Carpet at the lake is totally impractical. So when we bought our little cabin down there, it did have carpet, but we did not have it very long because between our dog, our little dog Tucker, and our 3 grandchildren who like to swim all the time, the carpet was wet a lot. Mm-hmm. That is just not something that was going to work out for us. So we took all that out and put in wood floors. But there are a lot of people that still have carpets, and I know that oftentimes before we would have an event, like before one of our children would graduate or something, we always had parties. Well, we always had to clean the carpet. It's just it's just part of the process. If you're going to have it at your home, then you want to put your best face forward for your friends and family, and cleaning the carpet. Then typically after the party, then it kind of sometimes need to be cleaned again, but that's okay. You can do it more than once. But yeah, thanks for putting that out there.
Yeah.
That'll be fun to see who can win that. Something else that I saw in here is on your website. You have a contact us. You have an about us that tells about your company, a little bit about your company. You have, like I said, you have videos all over the place, tons and tons of recent posts. You kind of have a blog.
We have a blog on there,
A blog
yes.
going on here with some great information on it.
Matter of fact, Mary, small businesses out there that are listening, if they do that kind of stuff to their website, it really helps their ranking, and then it gets you on the first page of Google.
If you have a blog going on with your...
Blogs, videos, all kinds of stuff. Don't ask me how I know this because I'll have to bring my son back into the picture. But it's just a lot of that stuff not only helps the client find what they need to know, but it also helps the small businesses become more aware out there.
That's true, and people are looking more to this type of media. I think that the websites are great because when you are looking for someone and say, not everyone, a disaster is not something you deal with on a regular basis. So when it comes up, you can, if you remember the show, if you have Robert's phone number, or if you want to go to his website before the disaster strikes, which I would recommend, then you can go through his website, and look at his videos. I mean, you've got great information on here, so people will feel more comfortable with what you can do for them, and then they will be more ready to call you when the disaster strikes.
And they're welcome to call me before. They could call me and ask me some questions. We do a lot of free consulting on the phone, where we help people walk through different situations. I know you all do that as well.
We do.
And that's what this show is all about. So if somebody were to call me and ask me, I have this situation or I want to prevent that, I could I believe in the power of referral. So if there's something somebody needs, I could help them walk through the whole process to protect themselves.
It looks like you also have a newsletter.
We do.
On here that you can subscribe to by clicking a link. And so how often does your newsletter come out? Is it quarterly or? Quarterly. So sometimes that's a great tool to have at your disposal as well if you're a consumer and you want to kind of follow what's going on, because I know things change all the time in our industry, and it does in your industry, different ways to take care of situations, and there's always something new that's coming up, or a better product or something like that. So you can kind of keep on top of what's going on that way as well by getting a newsletter link. I see that you've got some coupons on here. Mold prevention presentation. I kind of looked at that the other day. That's a video that you've done that's got great information on how to prevent mold from even starting to grow inside your home for different reasons. There's just so much information on here. It's just you can just learn about anything that you want to learn about on this website. It's probably one of the better websites I've seen in quite a while. So kudos to you for that, and for putting videos up. I mean, you've done a lot of the videos yourself, which I know isn't always a real easy thing to do. If you're not used to doing that, I've done a few myself, and it's kind of a difficult thing to get through a little bit, because you're kind of self-conscious and that type of thing. But you did a great job on those. Gives you some. How long have you been in the business, Robert?
12 years.
12 years. Okay. Gives a little bit of information. Now, what type of? How big is your service area? I mean, I would imagine do you go into the Branson market?
We do a lot in Branson, Joplin. We've actually been in St. Louis. So our main focus, of course, is in the Springfield area, because that's how people hear about us. But when I say Springfield, I'd probably say a good 100-mile radius. In our business, it doesn't happen every day, so there's not a ton of companies that do what we do. So it is a specialty, and so sometimes there is some travel involved. We do have a truck, we do have a trailer, and we do travel.
So there you go, folks. I would say if you're within 100 miles or so of listening to us today, then
if you hear us, call us, and we'll walk you through it. And if you're too far out of our range, we could make a phone call and find somebody in your area to help you.
And see, that's a great service as well. So we get that sometimes. Someone will be in an area. We got a referral from someone who lives up by Camdenton but has a house here in Springfield, and so we do that as well. We try to, if there's someone who maybe heard us on the radio or saw somewhere and is not in our service area, we try our best to try and help them find someone that can help them solve their problem wherever they live. So that's a great help to people also. So is there anything that we haven't covered that you do? Have I missed anything, or is there anything else that, anything you might want our listeners to know about you that we haven't discussed yet?
No, I think the main thing to think about, though, is what you said earlier, that if they do have a problem, if they call us, we can help them walk through the whole process, whether it starts with an insurance company or whether they're, unfortunately, will have to pay out of their pocket. We'll walk them through that process, and then from there we can help them with any contractors that they need, whether it's a company like yourself to put in the furnace. Many times the furnace has to be taken out and then brought back in, especially if in a fire. So we can we have you come out there and take that furnace out of there, and we get it all cleaned up and ozone it. And then we have professional painters, drywall, carpet installers. So we actually use contractors on all the work we do. We call that subcontracting to them. And we have a very fast response time. Our goal is to get you back in your home or business as fast as possible without cutting any corners. And so many times when you have a disaster, you'll see eight or nine different companies in your driveway, all these vans and all these professional technicians going in and out of a home taking care of it. So it's quite a process, but when it's done, it's quite miraculous.
Now, we've been talking mostly about residential, but you just mentioned that you also do this
Yep.
for commercial businesses as well. So it doesn't have to be residential. If something happens in a commercial situation, you can come in and do the same thing for them as well.
There's more homes, so usually there's more disasters in a home, but there's, Branson on the Strip, we did a lot of work down there. So there is, when something happens in a commercial, unfortunately, like you said earlier, it happens when they're gone. It'll
Yes.
happen on a Friday night, and then Monday morning they walk in the door. We've done a lot of churches, and so there's just, what we like to say is when disaster strikes and time matters, call Kwik Dry.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's easy to remember.
And that's why we have, our little Wicked Witch friend from The Wizard of Oz on the cover of our website, because she's got that little time piece, and that's what happens when there's a disaster. And we like to think of it as sometimes bad things happen to good people.
It
And
does.
so we want to go in there and help them as fast and as quick and as efficient as we can, and help them in their disaster.
And get them back into their home or their
Yes.
business, and so that they can get on with their life
Yes.
and with the least amount of interruption.
That's exactly right.
Well, I think that's great. Now, most of my listeners know that we typically record these shows, and we have a YouTube site that I've been putting on YouTube and then also on Spring Mountain Air's webpage. But the last couple of weeks, we've had a little glitch here in the station. Haven't been able to record those, so as soon as we can get those recordings, I will get those up for people who like to maybe go back and listen to part of a show or something, or if they've missed a show and want to go back and try and find it. We'll get those caught up here as soon as we can, so sorry about the inconvenience for that. But I do know people who like to go back and listen to it maybe a second time to maybe get some more information, maybe another phone number, maybe a website, or maybe just to rehear some of the information that was put out there. So if you're wondering what happened to last week's show, that's what happened to it. I haven't been able to get the recording of that just yet, but we'll work on it and put that up for everyone who likes to do that. Dan just told me we're just about out of time. We have just a few minutes left. I just want to thank everyone for listening. Speaking of water, it looks like we might be getting some rain here, so maybe, I don't know, I hope we didn't cause that today, Robert.
No, we didn't.
Talking about all this water, and I think we're going to get some. But just keeping in mind, if you have a question, if you maybe just need a little bit of assistance on maybe the preventative side of things, of disasters, remember to give Robert a call. Like he said, he answers his phone. You'll get to talk to him personally. He gave out his numbers. He gave out his website. Once again, his main number off his website is 417-882-6610. I've known Robert for a while. He's a real easy person to talk to. He really does care about his clients. He will do everything he can to help you through a disaster situation or to help you prevent one. And I think even preventing one is probably just as important, if not more so, than getting through one. Hopefully you don't have one that happens, but you just never know. You can't plan for those. So if you can't plan for the disaster, then you need to have a plan on what to do when it strikes. And I think that you would be a great part of their plan.
Thank you.
Kwik Dry Systems can come out and take care of all the issues that Robert talked about. Go to his website. You can spend a lot of time on here. Like I said, there's great information. I would encourage you to look at his website. And I just want to say thank you for all of our listeners. You know, it's kind of fun when I'm out and about town and stuff. We've been on a little over a year now, and I'll meet someone new, and it's always exciting when they say, "Oh, I love your show. I listen to your show." So I know we have a lot of listeners out there, and hopefully you'll get some calls from today. And we have 1 minute left. So, Mark, if you're listening today, I hope you're doing well. I hope you have a great weekend. I'll try and give you a call later on and maybe let everyone know how you're doing next week. And hopefully you can maybe call in or visit with us a little bit on the air once in a while if you feel up to it. And thank everyone for listening today. This is the Home Repairs and Solutions Show every Friday from 10 to 11 right here on KWTO 560 AM. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you on the radio next Friday.
I got squirrels in my attic. I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, you need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions.